Hey girl, Marissa here. You are listening to the Codependent Dummy podcast. As a young woman, you have been raised, reinforced, and rewarded for putting the needs of others above your own. Now, in your 20s, you're finding yourself exhausted, exasperated, and enveloped in shit relationships, especially the one you have with yourself. Codependency is a way of being where we put the feelings, wants, and needs of others above our own in an unconscious attempt to meet our own feelings, wants, and needs. Sorry to break it to you, sis, but that is not sustainable. This podcast is to help you undo all that so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. Let's get to it. Oh, hello there, my dear sweet listener. Welcome to the Codependent podcast, episode 89. This is your hostess, Marissa Esquibel, and today, girl, we are talking about discernment, the art of discernment. DISCERNMENT, discernment. I'm also, if you're watching this video, coming to you sans makeup because I discerned I didn't want to take the time on this beautiful Sunday morning to shower and get ready after I wrote this. I'm in the flow, I'm in the zone, and I'm not feeling so hot. I've been on my period this week, so just more like, horizontal, needing rest. And I don't know if I'm going to do my makeup today. So here I am with my Zoom filter on. Thank God for Zoom filters. And here we go. What is discernment, you ask, Marissa? Well, my thought is I will define it. We will proceed to a check-in, our beloved check-in, and then move on to the focus of the show, unpacking what discernment is, why you need it, etc. Okay? Discernment is a noun, which means the ability to judge well. Or it means the quality of being able to grasp and comprehend what is obscure. Or discernment means the ability to recognize small details, accurately tell the difference between similar things, and make intelligent judgments by using such observations. Synonyms include sensitivity, awareness, wisdom, and sagacity. I love that word, sagacity, sagacious. Some examples. Her lack of discernment led to her disastrous choice of dating partners. Or the discernment to know when something is good or bad for you. In this episode, we are going to talk about how you can develop discernment in 10 steps, 10 ways to develop discernment. I'll be sharing why discernment is such a foreign concept to codependents and why we need it, as will be evident from an anecdote of my former codependent life. I'll then walk you through the 10 steps to develop discernment and finish with a short story about a not so distant, not so far off in the distant past, a story from when I did practice discernment and how it really worked out and how I'm developing discernment right along with you and having a felt sense, an internal sense of the benefits. And that little jangle was Rex. Rex decided to join me in the studio today, so we'll see if he makes it. I don't know. I don't know if he can sit through today. So let's pause, and check in. Shall we, baby girl? Deep breaths. Let's do 3. Deep breath in and out. You can do a T like me. Spread your arms out wide. Into a T and out. And one more deep breath. Let's stretch all the way up. And out. Swan dive down. Do some neck circles. Oh, I don't know if my neck's gonna crack today. A little crack. Do some shoulder rolls. Backwards. Forwards. Shake your arms out. All kinds of circles. How are you feeling? How has your week been? How are you feeling about how your week has been? We are wrapping up this 8th month of August. We are heading into the fall for all of us here in the Northern Hemisphere. How are you and how do you want to spend the last few days of summer? I'm curious if you've had any big feelings this week. And if so, how can you practice tenderness? Right? The theme of this year of the podcast, tenderness. How can you practice that towards yourself as you cope with those feelings? I mentioned it before. I was on my period. I'm on it. I've been on it this past week. And OMG. Aunt Flo has been a flowing, and I have needed lots of rest. I've had to lay down. I've had to take Advil. And I've had to not get as much done as much as my capitalist and patriarchal side of me would want me to get done. But I'm a woman, right? The matriarchal, cyclical side of me is like, rest, bitch, rest. So I've been trying to do that this week. Yesterday, I just watched a lot of Netflix. My mom even commented, look at Marissa relaxing. I was like, yes, I am relaxing. Baby girl, it's that time of the month where relaxation is in order. So, yeah, and I've been emotional. Oh my God, I've been crying. I've been crying a lot and feeling a lot of feelings. Also engaging in behaviors to try and not feel as many feelings, but the feelings persist. So trying to honor my feelings. And I hope you are honoring your own. I honor your feelings. So, end of the check-in, please be mindful to check in and take care of yourself wherever you're at in your cycle this week. And let's move on to the art of discernment. We are referencing a list of ways to develop discernment that was created by Dr. Jim Clark. I believe formerly James Clark. He has a PhD in mythology, 2 master's degrees in religion and religious education, as well as marriage and family counseling. And His bachelor's was in philosophy. He is also a Catholic priest, but he's not like a regular priest. He's a cool priest. And I recently spoke with him about this topic, and he told me verbatim, proper discernment will save your life. Let me repeat that again. Proper discernment will save your life. That resonated, and I couldn't agree more. So that's the lens. That's the lens that we're looking through today from Dr. Jim Clark. And before I share his 10 suggestions, his 10 ways, his 10 steps to develop discernment, why? Why am I talking about this? Why do codependents need to develop discernment? And I listed 4 reasons. First reason we need to develop discernment, we don't have it. We don't have discernment, which is why we need to develop it. As codependents, we are too focused on helping others discern what is best for them. We look to others to help us make decisions, to help us discern, since we don't know what is good for us, only what is good for others. We don't have it because we've never learned to ask ourselves, who am I? What do I want? What do I value? I remember going to spiritual and reflective workshops and classes, and they would ask, who are you? And I was like, I don't know. What the fuck? Who the fuck am I? I don't know who the fuck I am. Does anybody else know? Can you tell me who I am? I had no idea who I was and what I wanted. And that question scared me. It did. It scared me. And I know I've shared this before, but I recall one time I had an ex-boyfriend. He violated a boundary and we were taking a break. And he came and saw me. And I said aloud to him, oh, I wish my dad or my therapist were here right now. And what I meant, what I was conveying underneath that was, oh, I wish these 2 men in my life were here to uphold this boundary and help me decide whether or not I should keep talking to you right now or if I should go inside. But I couldn't do it on my own. So I wished they were there. I wished my dad and my male therapist at the time were there to help me because I couldn't figure it out on my own. Second reason codependents need to develop discernment. Because we do what others want or what we think they want and end up unhappy. We take the class, we say yes to the job, we stay in a toxic relationship because the other person wants us to stay in the relationship, right? Other people encourage us to do things, and we have no ability to judge whether that's aligned with who we are and what we want. And then ultimately, we end up in a class, in a job, in a relationship, eating a meal, living in a city, in a group of friends, with a certain animal, watching a particular show on Netflix, reading a particular book, and hiring a particular gardener, and none of it was our idea. None of it. And we're unhappy. We're living a life through the lens, through the perspective, through the advice of other people, valuing what they value, doing what they do, but something is off. There's something off. in this life, absent of discernment, where all we're doing is what other people have explicitly told us or implicitly told us what they sense is best for us. And we're unhappy. Third reason we need discernment. It can be harmful not to have it. Okay. If we keep following the advice, input, and perspective of others, we can put ourselves in situations where either our emotional safety, our physical safety, our spiritual safety, our mental, social, educational, relational safety is compromised, or we harm ourselves since we are so out of alignment. We overdrink, we overspend, we overeat, we overwork, we overcut, we oversnort, we overvape, we overindulge, we over neglect because we are undernourished, we are underfed, we are under safe. That is a word for us. And we end up compensating for how misaligned we are in ways that are harmful to us, right? They seem helpful in the moment. For me, peanut butter has always seemed so helpful in the moment. But it's not helpful long term. Fourth reason we need to develop discernment is because with proper discernment, we develop our ability to trust our goddamn selves. We are codependent. Emphasis on the co, as in couple, right? Always needing someone else all the time. And we're dependent, as we depend on others for our survival. Codependent. It is very difficult to tap into, develop, cultivate, strengthen our ability of self-trust, to trust ourselves when we are so reliant on other people. Discernment will help us develop our ability to be curious within ourselves, to question what is it that we want, to problem solve with ourselves, and discover what resonates, what's aligned, what connects with ourselves. To review, 4 reasons we need discernment, 4 reasons you need discernment, 4 reasons I need discernment. First, we don't have it. Second, we end up miserable doing what others think is best. Third, it's harmful, can be harmful, not to have it. And fourth, by having it, we build self-trust. The ability to trust our goddamn selves. Before I share the 10 ways to develop discernment, here is a comical and yet sad anecdote from my own life when I didn't have it. And before, let's take a break. I have some I Love Lemon with vitamin C tea. So let a water break, everybody. Let's get hydrated. It's cool out today, so this very much resonates with it aligns with the temperature. Okay. It was the spring of 2012, late spring 2012. I was 24, so about 10 years ago. and I was working as an administrative assistant at a law firm. At the time, the majority of the attorneys there were old, like 60s, 70s, old. But they started to hire a new generation of attorneys. One of them was a super cool attorney. It's not like a regular attorney. He's a cool attorney named, we will call him Paul. Paul, who, looking back, was probably in his late 30s. He was Latinx. He was handsome. He was married. He had a cute little baby. I think it was a baby girl. I can't remember. And he was very nice to me. A Latinx, 20-something administrative assistant. And just to forewarn you, there was no creepiness with Paul, thankfully. Given how creepy men were towards me throughout my 20s, this is not a creeper story, okay? Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul, for not being a creeper. So Paul is all cool and chatting me up. I drop off a package, or I have to go pick something up to him to give to another senior attorney. Office banter, chatter. And somehow it came up in our conversation that I run half marathons, which I have shared I was doing at that time in my life like a crazy person, just running. I was like Forrest Gump with half marathons. I just felt like running, and I was running all over Santa Barbara and participating in half marathons all over California, honestly. I don't know why my timer is going off. I apologize. And Paul said, wow, I'm a runner too. I run all the time. I've run these half marathons. I've ran these marathons. I've done these triathlons. I run. Great. And he says, have you ran night moves? I hadn't. And he went on to explain how Night Moves is a summer series event in Santa Barbara, where I was living at the time. And for like 8 or 10 weeks, every Wednesday, participants would swim a 1/4 mile in the ocean along the beach, parallel to the beach, and run out, change, and run a 5K, so a 3.2-mile race afterwards for the whole summer, every Wednesday. Swim a 1/4 mile, come out and change, run 3.2 miles, finish, and then there was dinner and alcohol afterwards. I think you got a dinner ticket and a drink ticket. You should do it, Marissa. I'm planning to do it, said Paul. You should do it, was all I needed to hear. I'm 22. I'm codependent. I have no sense of discernment and what is good, bad, healthy, unhealthy, aligned, or misaligned for me. I want to please everyone, including this young, attractive Latinx lawyer at my work, who likely reminds me of some aspects of my parents, of my mother and my father. And if he thinks I should do it, then obviously I should. And I proceeded to pay the fee to participate in the whole summer series, right? Couldn't just do one. I had to sign up for the whole thing. And you could literally pay individually. So I paid for the whole series. I went to an athletic store to purchase a wetsuit since the website suggested I get one because the Pacific Ocean is freezing cold in the summer. I purchased a pair of swim goggles, a swim cap, a pink swim cap for my hair, and we called it a biathlon, a duathlon, because it was swimming and running. So other duathlon paraphernalia. I even joined the nearby swimming pool to swim laps before work and during my lunch break, depending on the day, not both in the same day, but I was swimming pretty much every day because I suck at swimming and I needed to practice before night moves started. And if you haven't noticed, I went all out and had no discernment, none. Somebody probably recommended I practice swimming and I joined the local pool. Paul said you should do night moves. I signed up for the whole thing. And I remember the first Wednesday, I remember telling him, "Oh, I got my wetsuit and I joined a pool. Yeah, I just went to go practice during lunch." He. And he complimented me. He said, "That's great, good job." And the first Wednesday of night moves, I remember going to his office and saying, "I'm doing it. I'll see you there." And he's like, "Okay." And I think he joked or indicated I might just do the run. And I was like, "What? You can just do the run?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to swim. Like, it's crazy to swim." And I was like, "What the fuck? It's crazy to swim, but I'm swimming. I bought the wetsuit. Like, you said we're supposed to, you should do it." And I don't know, I think part of me was like, he'll change his mind because I'm doing it. And I got down there, I set up my stuff, I put my wetsuit on, which was very difficult and uncomfortable to do in public. And this Paul motherfucker walks up in his running clothes and is like, "I'm just going to do the 5K portion." And yeah, I think he was giggling in a, "You look great, but also being in a wetsuit is funny" giggle. I was like, damn. So he wasn't even doing the whole thing. He signed up to run that one time and it was not what I expected when he said, "You should do it." Okay. And baby girl, what do you think happened? What do you think? What do you imagine happened? Hmm? Because I sense you're right when you imagined that it was awful. It was awful. The ocean was so cold. I could not put my head underwater the whole time. The whole first time I swam very slowly. I did the breaststroke and then I did whatever. I can't even look at how bad of a swimmer I am. I can't even remember what this is called. But then I did this basic stroke with my head above the water the whole time. I'm pretty sure I came in last or pretty close to last. And thanks to being a runner, I gained back some of my dignity because I caught up to all the fast swimmers who were slow runners, but I hated it. I hated it. It was awful. It was awful. Did I forfeit the money and just quit? Or ask for a refund? No. Did I forfeit the swimming part, especially since it was summer and sometimes there were shark sightings off the beach, off the coast, and it was kind of sketchy when they said it was okay for us to swim? No. Did I miss any of the evenings of this 8-week series because I was tired, or I didn't know anyone, or I didn't even really like the food and wasn't drinking alcohol at the time? No. Did Paul even swim in one of the events? One of the 8 weeks? No. Did Paul even participate by running every week? No. But I did it all because he suggested it. And despite me being an autonomous human being, I wasn't. I was not autonomous at that time, and I had no space to discern, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I hate this. Maybe I'm not a fucking swimmer. This may sound comical, and it is funny to look back on, but it's also sad. It's also very, very sad. I had no ability to tell what was worth and not worth my time. I was more concerned about what Paul thought of me had I quit. It was harmful. I was swimming my little tail off and worried I was going to get eaten like the slowest seal in the pack. I really, truly, at times, worried there was a shark in the water. I was like, oh God, what was that? Oh God, what was that? Oh God, oh God, oh God. Okay, just go. Just swim, Marissa. Just swim. Swim your little butt off. I remember sleeping poorly the night before since I was anxious. My body hated being in the cold water. Remember, I swim with my head above water the whole time. So I went and bought what is called a skull cap, which is basically a wetsuit for your face. I think it just had eyes. I don't even know if it had a mouth. Did it have a mouth? I can't remember. Maybe it looked like a ski mask, like I was robbing the ocean. Oh my God, I wore that so it was more tolerable. And was it impressive to others? Yes. Did my family come to visit and see me participate one night and think, damn, Marissa is so fast? Yes. But really, truly, I would have preferred to have spent my Wednesdays that summer reading or going to a Zumba class. And I was just this manic biathlete instead. At the time, I wasn't conscious of it, but there was no sense of self-trust since I was doing what someone told me to do without any space to wonder whether it was what I wanted to do. After that, I even signed up for a triathlon. And that was so stressful. Training for that was so stressful. I was so unhappy and wondering what the fuck is wrong with me? Why am I in such a bad mood? And it's like, bitch, maybe because you're going to this pool every morning and you hate swimming. So it's not good. It's not good, baby girl. It was not good. It's sad. It's sad. And this is one example, one comical example of many where I was just this walking, talking a walking, talking, what is the word? I was a walking, talking, puppet with people. Not even, I don't even know if they were conscious of it, just pulling the strings. And I was just moving along, trying to please and do whatever it is they recommended I do. I'm your puppet. That was my song to the world. I'm your puppet. Paul, I'm your puppet. Mom and Dad, I'm your puppet. Society, I'm your puppet. That was it. Okay. Hearing that, let's shift gears and explore the 10 ways to practice developing discernment. When presented with a choice, it could be big or small, since small things to others can be big to you. Okay? You apply these when you sense it's best, when you sense it's needed, even if it's figuring out where to go to dinner. Okay? Or it's whether or not you should participate in that 8-week biathlon series event in your local town. 10 ways to practice developing discernment. Number 1, spend time in silent prayer. And if prayer means something negative to you, spend time with a listening heart. What does your heart say? What feelings arise when you reflect on this choice you're having to make? You are making. In some texts that I've read before, I learned that prayer is talking to God, talking to universal spirit, talking to the universe. So it's talking, and meditation is listening. So in this step, it's time to ask and be curious about the options. So for me, back then, I would have said, should I participate in night moves? Should I participate? Is this a good idea for me? Is this aligned with how I want to spend my time? Second step, spend time journaling or writing. Answering questions like, or filling lists like, what are the pros and cons? What are the advantages and disadvantages? What's yes? What are we saying yes to? What are we saying no to? And I will talk about this in another episode. It's an aspect of motivational interviewing, which is a type of therapy. And there's a tool where you make 4 corners on a piece of paper, and on one corner you put what are the pros of so for this example, I'd say pros of participating in night moves. And next to that, I would say cons of participating in night moves. And then I would flip it around and say pros of not participating in night moves and cons of not participating in night moves, which sounds similar, but they're different. And I will walk you through that on another episode in the future. But so the pros of doing something pros and cons and the pros and cons of not doing it. And more can be revealed with questions like that. Third step, engage with music, art, poetry, and other content of your liking. And while engaging with it, what comes up for you? When listening to songs or staring at a painting or reading a book of poetry, listening to a podcast, how does this relate to the decision or options you are weighing? And what are they pointing to? We can make anything mean anything. A lyric can point us to do something or not to do something. So, what about the music, art, poetry, content resonates within you? And where is that pointing you towards? So, at the time, okay, back when I was not discerning night moves, maybe I could have listened to Born This Way by Lady Gaga and thought, I'm born this way to run and to dance. I love running, I love dancing, but I was not born this way to swim. I was not born this way. Maybe that's what the lyrics would have been telling me. Okay, so engage in content. Fourth step, reflect in nature. Girl, get some fresh air, take some deep breaths, and intentionally use that time to reflect. You can ask the sun, you can ask the wind, you can ask the trees for some hints, for some signs for what you should do. Reflecting in nature allows you to take a break from other people, from social media, and the barrage of input where you can breathe and reflect on your options. It's just you, yourself, and you discerning what is best. Maybe I would have taken a walk on the beach, looked out on the Santa Barbara ocean, and asked, is it a good idea for me to swim in you every week during shark season? And maybe the ocean would have said, hell no, hell no. Only seasoned swimmers swim here. You're not a seasoned swimmer, Marissa. Go run. Go run, mijita, but don't swim. Maybe, who knows? Fifth step, seek guidance through your dreams. As Freud said, dreams are the royal road to the unconscious. And if you are discerning something, you can even ask your dreams. My former therapist used to tell me, tell yourself before you go to bed, say, okay, going to bed, please reveal to me an answer to this question. Please reveal to me what I should do. Please give me a sign on how I should proceed forward. You can set that intention with yourself before you go to sleep and say, hey, unconscious, I'm trying to find what it is that is best. You can set that intention. You might not always get it, but it's another tool to help you discern. What if I dreamt about being attacked by a shark? Maybe I would have taken that into consideration. Or what if I dreamt about being hospitalized due to exhaustion at that time? Maybe I would have sensed that this was just adding a little too much on my plate and I needed to take it easy. Maybe I would have had dreams like that. So looking at the symbols, meanings, and trying to translate what your dreams are telling you about this decision. 6, talk to trusted others. Emphasis on trusted. And another emphasis on those who have had or been through a similar experience. Yes, I have been and am an equal opportunist when it comes to advice. Everyone in the world seems to know what is best for me. However, it's best to get advice from trusted others who you sense truly want what is best for you. And for those who have been through it. Paul had participated in this before. But Paul was also a svelte, athletic man who was really good at swimming and really good at running. Okay. Maybe I could have talked to a woman who'd participated before, or I could have shared my plan with my sister for her to help me problem solve whether I wanted to do it and have her tell me, Marissa, you suck at swimming. Just run. Just run the running part. Why are you swimming? What is wrong with you? You're a terrible swimmer. She could have told me that, and it would have been really helpful. Since we are committed to developing our ability to trust ourselves, you do need to be careful with this step. And always balance the input you receive from others with the other 9 steps. Okay, because again, we don't want to be overly reliant on those who we don't fully trust or those who haven't made the same decision. I have told you before, I have received input and feedback about the podcast from people who don't have podcasts, from boomers, from men, male boomers without a podcast. And I am a female millennial podcaster figuring it out, speaking to millennial and Gen Z codependent women trying to figure it out. I can't take his advice. I can listen, but try and discern whether that's helpful or not. Okay? 7, turning back and turning in toward ourselves. Step 7 is to notice coincidences. Maybe you'll receive a sign from the universe that you should or shouldn't do something. I did not see many as I endeavored to become a biathlete. I was terrible at swimming. That was reinforced when I started to practice swim. I swam the whole first time with my head above the water, since it was freezing. My bowels did not agree with me working out so intensely, so late in the day. And Paul wasn't even swimming. 0 coincidences for me to notice. Lots of anti-coincidences, lots of things not working out and being too hard. So, helpful to notice coincidences. And the coincidences can be very personal to you. Sometimes I know I've shared coincidences with other people and they're like, that's not a coincidence. And I'm like, yes, it is. To me, it is. It means something. That butterfly at that time, in that moment, was. I remember when we put my dog down, Bella, who I love to death, I had a dream about her. I had an amazing dream about her that night. And it was a coincidence. And it was her really telling me it was okay. It was the right time. And she was saying to me, you can put down my physical body, you can euthanize, you can put me down, but you can't put my spirit down. And I'll always be with you. I was like, oh, thank you. So, step 8, meditate with imagination. Sit in silence, listen to the universe, listen to your higher power, listen to God, and enter new possibilities through your imagination. What does it feel like, taste like, sound like to choose option A? What does it feel like, look like, sound like to choose option B? Really just trying to picture yourselves. Okay, if I do this, what would happen? And if I do this, if I do the other thing, what would happen? What would be good? What would be bad? Would there be consequences? Would there be positive consequences? Really just trying to play those out. Right? Maybe if I'd done that, I would have just pictured myself not doing it and being happy with that. That would have been my imagination. What if I say no? That would have taken a lot of imagination for this codependent at that time. Number 9, lean into your intuition. What does your inner sense, your inner voice, what is your body saying? Ask yourself to reveal to yourself throughout the day, throughout a meditation session, throughout a journaling session. What the fuck am I supposed to do, Marissa? And you just ask yourself, intuition, please reveal to me what I should do. It's actually 2 parts because then you have to honor it, which is also really hard. Right? Maybe my body would have said, like, no, don't do this. This is terrible. This is not fun. And I would have said, body, we can't back out now. We already committed. Body would have said, fuck that. Fuck it. Just do the running. Or don't do it at all. It's not worth it. We're tired. Go home. And just gone through the disappointing, the disapproval, the disillusion, right? Like dissolving the illusion of who I am to others, but honoring what I want and need. And step 10, take all the time you need to trust your gut. What are you ultimately drawn to? Trust that the answer will come when it is time, and follow what you sense is best. Hear my husband. Sorry if you guys can hear him. I know as a codependent, when I was really deep in the trenches of it, and I still do this now, it's like there's no time. I have no time. I have no time to decide. I have no time to discern. I have no time to reflect. I just need to know. I need to tell people. Other people can take time, but I can't take any time. And I really challenge you in this 10th step to take all the time you need to trust your gut. This is really existential, but time is all we have. Time is all we have. And you deserve to take time, your time, to discern how you want to spend it now and in the future. And it's okay. It's you can. You don't think you can, but you can. You can take time. Give your gut time to communicate and convey to you. Yes. No. And that, my friends, if practiced regularly, will deliver you the ability to discern what is best for you. I'm working on this, and it is a work in progress since, like I said, discernment is such a foreign concept to us codependents, but it's worth it. It is not sustainable or satisfying to keep relying on others to tell you what is best and to live your life according to them. Recently, I was offered an amazing opportunity. Amazing. And this will be quick, and we'll wrap up with this. I have a therapist colleague who is brilliant, talented, and inspirational. I reached out to her to connect, and she offered me a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to join forces with her on a project she's working on. The work would have been meaningful, depth-oriented, lucrative, engaging, and with her. Talk about a win-win. I suggested, and thankfully she obliged because she's so cool and amazing, that I take time to reflect, since I have had a pattern being codependent where I overcommit and underperform. And yeah, she said, great, take your time. And you know what happened? I took 4 whole weeks and I practiced these 10 things. I remember I even wrote on a Post-it and I said, God, help me discern whether I should work with this amazing colleague or not. Help me discern. Put it on a Post-it somewhere. Can't remember where. Somewhere around the house. Just putting it out to universe, to God, to my higher power. That was step 1. Okay, this is what we're doing these 4 weeks while also living my life. And I prayed, I meditated, I journaled, I paid attention to dreams and coincidences, talked with my husband and my therapist, those trusted others. I weighed the pros and cons. I leaned into my intuition, sought to sense what my gut wanted. I reflected in nature. I applied what I was reading in books to the situation. And ultimately decided in the email I wrote to her, I appreciate the offer and I have to pass. And I remember when she first offered it, I was like, oh, hell yeah, I am in. But I discerned, if I'm going to do something like what she's offering, I'd rather do it she was working with a certain clientele. And I'd rather do something similar for listeners like you, who are not the same clientele. If I'm going to create something, I'd rather create for my therapy patients, content for my therapy patients, resources, right? Focusing on my practice, my podcast, my personal life. And If I'm so focused on lucrative ways to make money, I'd rather do it in a manner where I can empower you to stop playing small and start taking up some goddamn space at the same time. So I said no. This was at the end of May, maybe even mid-May. And June, July, August, it's been 3 months, and I don't regret it. I don't. Yes, it was going to be lucrative, which that was definitely a magnet. Yes, it was an amazing opportunity with her. Yes, I probably could have made it work on top of my practice, podcast, and personal life. But I discerned what was best for me, and this opportunity was not it. So, my dear sweet listener, I challenge you to start developing discernment. Stop living a life so misaligned with what you want and need and value, and embrace an alternative reality where regret is not as present because you are honoring yourself. We need discernment. We don't have it. We rely on others to tell us what's best and then end up unhappy. We may end up harming ourselves without it. And we need it to develop self-trust, the ability to trust yourself. Please check out the show notes and this week's email and sign up for the email. There's a link in the show notes for the list of the 10 ways, the 10 steps to develop discernment, thanks to Father Jim. Like he said, proper discernment will save your life. Episode 89. That's a wrap. I love you. I am rooting for you. If you're discerning, you want more than this podcast, you can check out one of the 4 following resources. Get your copy of the Confiding Codependent, 30 days of journaling prompts for a less codependent and more conscious you. That's at codependent.com/tools for healing. Second, the Self-Validation Challenge, a free 30-day guide to providing yourself with all the validation you seek. That's at codependent.com/challenge. If you're wanting to dive deeper into your codependency, third resource, you can email me to work with me one-on-one, marissa@codependent.com. And fourth, you can sign up for the newsletter with deets on every episode. I also typically send a funny bonus at the end of the email with a funny meme or inspirational quote or picture from my own life to go along with that week's episode. And those are resources to help you. And you can also help me. You can support the show via a one-time donation via PayPal. There is a link in the show notes. I would appreciate it. And I will see you all next week. Hey girl, It's Marissa again. I'm not like a regular podcaster, I'm a cool podcaster, right? Thank you for listening and staying till the end. You can find me on Instagram at therapywithmarissa. Email me, marissa@codependummy.com. Check out codependummy.com for more information on the show. And baby girl, a subscribe, rating, and review would be much appreciated. Till next time, I want you to remember, if you are feeling unseen, I see you. If you are feeling unheard, I hear you. And if you think that you don't matter, know that you matter to me. I want you to go out there so you can stop playing small and start taking up space, you dummy. And now, the disclaimer. Girl, this is not therapy and I am not your therapist. This podcast is designed to provide accurate and authoritative information in regards to the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the host, publisher, or guests are rendering any legal, clinical, or other professional service. If you want or need a professional, please find one.